Negative K, nothing further, just Kitty Candy in the corner. That's a direct order. Do it now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, June the 12th, 2025. We are Roll Call, Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. I'm here with a few of my friends. I have D, I have AC, I have Tyrone, I have Mark, I have Cheech, William Herrera, I have Rich, I have Will Quick, I have Dave, Derek, and JT. All right, so we're going to have a moment of silence first. Before we move forward, have a moment of silence for officers that have passed away and loved ones that have passed away. No sound, D. All right, we're going to have a disclaimer from Cheech and a statement of purpose from Rich.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, we wanted to go over a couple of things. First, we want to let you know that the comments made by members of Roll Call are the opinions of each individual. They're not intended to be any type of legal advice, recommendation, or suggestion. Remember that the laws change from village to village, state to state, city to city. So please check with your local police department or local attorney for any legal advice. Also, this panel does once in a while display videos that are graphic in nature or maybe photographs. We use these to spark our conversations, but we don't want anyone to take offense to them. If you don't like watching these, a member of Roll Call will give you a heads up before we play it or display it. These videos and photographs are not the property of Roll Call. We get them from social media like Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and all that good stuff. So you have access to it also. Also, we want to let you know that the language used by members of Roll Call is very spontaneous. It is uncensored. Everybody here on the panel speaks their truth. We don't hold back. We hope you don't take offense to it or take it personal. We don't. You will see that sometimes we don't agree among ourselves, but we never take it personal, and we hope you don't. If you have any questions, please put them on the chat. A member of the team will try to answer any questions that you may have. And that's it. Rich?
Thanks, Cheech. We are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We are a pro-law enforcement group. We are for equitable policing. We are against racism. And most importantly, Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheech. Thank you, Rich. Real quick, last week I failed to announce that Roll Call celebrated our 5th anniversary on the air last week on Wednesday. If you remember when we first started, we started on Wednesdays and we moved over to Thursday. But I want to say congratulations to Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. The name came from Rich Jordan. We voted on it, and he came up with the name. But also, there's people on here that was not with us on day one, but they're with us today, and it's just like they were with us on day number one. So I want to thank those who have joined us since day number one. And on day number one, it were those who were with us that's not with us right now, for whatever reason. Some are afraid to speak up, don't want to cause any waves. And let me just say this. I'm not mad at anybody. I understand that totally well. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. When I did this, I knew I was going to take some heat, and I took some heat. I took some heat from doing that, but I'm fine with that. I can handle the heat, or I'll just get out the kitchen. It's as simple as that. But I thank each one of you guys for being there. And we don't have any of our women here right now, but Jerry's been with us, Melba's been with us, Kyle's been with us. Did I miss you? CJ. They've been with us, and they've been real troopers, and I want to thank them. Kyle is running right now. If y'all don't know, Kyle is a runner, and so she's running a marathon. I'm not going to tell y'all where because I don't need y'all to know where she is, but she's running a marathon, a half marathon, or a walk, or something she's doing, but something with some exercise. Let me just say that. And then we're praying for Jamel and Sharon. Jamel is always with us, but Jamel is taking on a project right now. It's unfortunate, how he received it, but he has it. Him and his family has it, and they're working on a project right now. We're praying for Melba Blocker. She's with us, but she's taking care of some business right now. Jerry's taking care of some business right now. We're praying for Isabel. That's Rich's wife. We're praying for Isabel. Praying for JT in Orlando. And we're praying for Rich's brother-in-law, which he mentioned to us last week, who had a heart attack. I think it was last week or the week before last, he had a heart attack. But we're praying for your brother-in-law as well. All right, before I turn it over to our host today, our host is going to be Rich Jordan. So you're going to get a West Coast flavor today from Rich Jordan. But Mark has his hand up, and after Mark goes, I'm going to turn it over to Rich, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to thank Dee for putting together our moment of silence. And I just want to point out that, sometimes we see that and we see the young officers and we forget that they have families, they're supporting families. These are real people. These aren't just pictures. These are real people who impact their community and have impacted their community. And unfortunately, was a loss to their community. So we just want to give a shout out, not only to them, and they're being heroic, but also to Dee for putting it together. Thanks, Dee.
All right. Right now, before you even get started, let me just say we got Sylvia Butler's on with us, Natasha Jackson, and 6 other people, Melissa Sutherland Moss, Donald Coleman, Richard Bowden. Those ones I see right now. Okay. And there's some others that I could not see, but Rich, it's in your hand.
Thank you, Rev. Good afternoon again. We're about to get started. I also want to say, in reference to my brother-in-law, he happened to be at the hospital when he had his heart attack, which made his survivability, 100%. But he was there for his son. His son had long-term illness that he went into remission on this leukemia, but he came back, and it was, at that last stage. And then a few days later, his 22-year-old son passed away. Ooh. So, I had a good long talk with him, but I mentioned that, and I guess other people mentioned the same thing, that his son actually saved his life because he happened to be at the hospital when he had an accident.
Wow.
So I don't know what that was, but yeah, prayers, thoughts and prayers for my brother-in-law dealing with that. And okay, let's go ahead and continue with the Zoom. Dee, you have the first video chinned up. We're going to start with the tension and unrest and protests in LA. So if we can go forward with that.
Yeah, our first video takes us to LA. Everybody knows we have these growing tension with the immigration officers. The protesters are now have turned the tables on the immigration officers. Let's take a look.
Growing tensions over mass deportations in Los Angeles. This was a scene in Paramount, California today when officers responded to a huge gathering as protesters took to the streets to demonstrate against federal immigration operations. Border Patrol says several arrests were made, and the White House says it is monitoring the situation. At least 30 officers wearing riot gear lined up against the protesters. It isn't immediately clear which agency these officers work for. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says ICE will, quote, continue to follow the law. And it wasn't just L.A. We also saw another standoff between protesters and authorities in New York City. Arrests were made there as well. Today's news comes one day after dozens of people were taken into custody across at least 3 locations in L.A. Our Steve Patterson is in Paramount, California for us. Steve, good evening. What are you seeing there now?
Jose, this all started this morning apparently across the street from a Home Depot, but the tension continues to this very moment. I'll step off and show you behind me. You can see L.A. County Sheriff's Department in full riot gear. We've seen flashbangs be deployed. We know tear gas canisters have gone off. We've seen debris in the streets. We know the FBI says they are looking for several people that they say threw rocks at vehicles conducting operations. This, of course, follows that day of tension raids across L.A. and L.A. County, specifically dozens of arrests being made. We don't know how many arrests or injuries in this police action, but obviously the tension not dying down anytime soon. Jose.
WPBF 25 News at noon.
Okay, before we get started, I just want to say, as a police officer in California, I worked here for 21 years, the mutual aid was called out. And when the mutual aid means that all of the departments in the surrounding cities send officers to help that cause. So as far as I'm concerned, the National Guard wasn't necessary at this point, and based on what we had going on. There's been worse riots than that. It was just mutual aid handled it without the National Guard, especially not the Marines. And so the controversy that I saw was these Waymo vehicles. You guys aren't familiar with the Waymo vehicles. They are, the self-driven cars without a person that you can call to come pick you up, just like an Uber, but there's no person there. So all 5 Waymo cars rolled up about in the same couple of blocks. Now, who called those Waymos there? I know the protesters didn't call Waymos so they could, set them on fire and damage them. So who did that? And we have these anarchists that always show up at these protests where they're peaceful and they cause the chaos and they escalate it. And then in turn, you have Trump escalate the situation. So I'm not going to go any further detail. First hand we have is Cheech. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to get into the root of all this. A lot of people don't know what's going on in the Latino community. From the get-go, it was said that they were going to go after criminals, people that were being already sought after, that had criminal history, violent criminal history. And I 100% agree with that. If you come into this country and you're going to come in to cause problems, yes, by all means, you should be deported. You don't have to be here. But what's happening now and what's causing the people to rise up and start these protests, which are peaceful, and like Rich said, you have other people that join in and cause the chaos. But the majority are out there to do peaceful protests. But what's happening now is that you have people that ICE is showing up at schools and waiting for the parents to pick up their children at school and grabbing them. You have them showing up at factories. You have them showing up at their jobs. wait a minute, you said that the criminals are the ones on the streets causing havoc, living off the government, but you're picking them up on the farm fields where they're working. So it's totally changed. You have people that I know personally that have been following the process legally to become citizens, to become a permanent resident, go into their regular appointments at immigration offices, and they walk in and they never walk back out. And they've been doing this for years. And now all of a sudden, boom, they turn around and said, you know what, we're not going to renew your status and you're out of here. With the family sitting outside, never get to see them again. So the community's getting upset. It's all over in the Latino community how upset everybody is. In New York, they're taking down the license plates of all these officers. They're ICE to try to identify them where they're at different areas. Now, with that said, also, I do not agree in attacking officers. If you attack an officer, you're going to get arrested. You're going to get charged. But like Rich said, those people are coming in from who knows where to come and taking advantage of the situation and causing havoc. But also, it's dangerous grounds we're on because I think the president is waiting for that, wanted that, because this is his opportunity. And we have a panelist here, Jim Kiernan, that says it all the time. He's waiting to declare martial law and send the troops out against our own people. So he wants this to happen. So I question sometimes who's sending the ones that are making the trouble out there, because most of our people, when you talk to everybody, want to go out there and protest peacefully. They don't want problems, And then a lot of chats I see on different social media platforms are saying, you see all these illegals, they're out there causing the people with no papers are afraid to come out. They're not coming out to those things. The majority are staying in because they know that if they get caught, they're gone. So they're not coming out. This is U.S. born, people that are out there doing the protests. But I just hope everybody stays safe. I feel for both sides. You don't want anybody getting hurt, but enough is enough. People are getting upset, and you can't just sit back and stay quiet. I don't blame them for going out there and protesting, but let's keep it civil. It's your right to do it. Let's keep it civil. Let's not give him the opportunity to, what he's doing now, turn the military against us.
Well, thank you, Cheech. One thing I have to mention is that he's going against the will of the governor and the mayor.
Yep.
Normally the governor will request the National Guard. This is a power grab, an extension of power that just escalates the situation. Vice calms it down. And so,
I'm sorry. Isn't it funny also how quick he was to do that when there was a whole nother issue going on in his personal life with his buddy Musk, and now you don't hear about that because, hey, he diverted the attention. He's an expert at doing that.
Deflection.
Exactly. And that horrible bill that they're trying to pass, that takes attention off that as well. Don't look over here, look over there, So he's constantly doing that. So you have an individual like this, and he's such a malignant narcissist. He goes to Fort Bragg, and he's doing his campaign dance, and basically gave a speech in front of all those soldiers, a campaign speech, dogging his opponents, and they're booing the mayor and governor of California and Los Angeles. What are we doing? I don't know. Dave, you're up next. Oh, I got a finger here. Go ahead, Rev. You're on mute.
Melissa Sutherland Moore says they are also showing up at graduations and immigration office appointments. It's very disheartening. They're showing up at Home Depot. They're showing up at places where people are legitimately working, taking care of business. They're not going after the criminals. They're going after people. They're going after nationalities. And that's what I see.
Well, they have the quota. They have a quota. They have to get a certain amount of arrests a day, and you can't do that just on criminals. They have to go to the fields and everywhere else this pressure is on them for them to make all these arrests for this mass deportation that Trump promised his base.
So for the most part, what you're really saying is that they're profiling, and anyone of Hispanic nature will definitely at least be pulled and checked.
And can I add something, Rich?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a personal friend from Long Island who's lived, I think he was in the country for 26 years. All right. He started his own business over there, everything, never been in trouble with the law, ran his own business. He is so scared because he's undocumented. He sold his business at half the price that he would have gotten. And this past weekend got on a plane and went back to Colombia. And you know why? He has a tattoo of the Colombian flag on him. And he said, if I get caught, what if they mistake me for a gang member and send me to El Salvador? That's how scared he was. 26 years in the country, never gotten in trouble, running a business, paying taxes. And he just picked up and left. I felt, oh my God, right now I'm feeling it. I felt so bad for the man, you know, but he said, I'm just going to auto deport because I don't want to take the risk of getting caught and something else happening to me. That's what's happening in the Latino community.
That's horrible. I saw a video of a woman that had her infant snatched from her arms as they were arresting her. You know, you're breaking up families. These people aren't criminals. They're just trying to live. They've been here for years. They have roots, and you're tearing families apart. And this is what is inflaming everybody throughout the nation. LA is not the only place they were protesting. They're protesting throughout the nation. And, you know, I don't blame people. You can only push people to a certain point before they have to rise up against a bad government. But we got Dave next. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, a few things here. I have a fucking problem with a fucking dude coming through the door with a fucking mask covering his face with shades on, no badge out, okay, and trying to bulldoze people inside of a building, inside of a school, in the street, okay. Now, I say that because when we were all cops, I know when I was in New York City, and detectives, it was mandatory for us to carry our ID cards everywhere. Mandatory. There's some guys did not do it. Yeah, they didn't do it, but it was mandatory. Anybody can have a shield, but that ID card, okay, we all know what they look like. Okay, when people request that shit, you got to show it. Okay, now ICE has never covered their damn face when I seen them in New York when I worked on PD. I've never seen them cover their face, and they always had their idea. They couldn't even come to a police precinct with shit like that on. Secondly, 9-year-old fucking kid in Torrance, California, yanked out of school because he's looking for his daddy. Then they flew the kid to another state. His father turned himself in. Now fortunately they're both back in Honduras. Okay. Thirdly, okay, Trump lied to the Hispanic community, and a lot of them took the bait. He said we're going to go after criminals. So they said, okay, we're not going to vote for the black woman. We're going to vote for Trump. He's going to just go after the criminals. That was a fucking lie. Okay. Notice at all these rallies, how many black people you see? Not many. Because we're still pissed off about this asshole getting in office all of a sudden again. Okay, they line up. He never shows evidence of numbers or anything. He just makes numbers up out of his fucking head, and people fell for this bullshit. We all older, some of us old enough on here go back to 1972 when Nixon and the Ford administration sued the shit out of him and his daddy because he was discriminating against black people living in their buildings. We knew what kind of bastard this was. Ask the Central Park 5. But they didn't want the black woman in the damn White House, and they went with the fucking devil. Okay? And this is why I kept stressing to that guy who used to be on here with us all the time, this Artie Barrett cat. I said, we have to vote. If we can win that house back, if we can win that fucking house back, we can fucking submit an article of impeachment for this fucking guy because he's broken every goddamn law. He's broken about 1,000 laws since he's been back. intimidating judges, all kinds of shit. Okay, incompetent fucking people in his cabinet like that fucking Hegseth, a fucking drunken cowboy. They don't know shit about nothing. And this dumbass Christy Nome who passes her ass around like pancakes to everybody. Okay, and I'm just tired of this shit. Now, here's the shit. Yesterday, what did they tell us? They're going to be hitting D.C., Philadelphia, Seattle, New York, and what's the other? Chicago. Most of them are black and brown.
Blue cities.
So now the African brothers, now the African and West Indian brothers got some shit coming up the sleeve for them. Okay? I'm fucking tired of ignorance on people when it comes to voting and policy. They want a fucking shit show instead of thinking about real policy that helps them and their families and their communities. We were all warned about this shit. But uneducated dumbasses and the people who didn't vote, because that's a vote for Trump, okay, you pulled this bullshit because you didn't want a woman in here. Shit, you got a woman in your damn house, your mama whooped your ass and tightened your ass up when you got out of line. How was that? Saved your soul. And I'm just tired of the ignorant bullshit, man. And it got me furious down here. Now I gotta wait. I'm on the midnight, run my midnight security team. And I got African next to me, and I got African nurses and West Indian nurses in there. They tell us if ICE comes in, just call the 18-year-old people when they walk up in that joint, man. And you're gonna have nobody taking care of the patients. My aunt is in there and the dementia ward. Okay, I'm just, and the shit that he's doing, man. We got a fucking measles epidemic, and we beat that shit years ago. You got Africans in the continent of Africa. George Bush sent all of that medication over there and saved millions of lives, and they wiped that out. Starving children with the USA shit they stripped out. Starving children, man. School aid, school breakfast and lunch, wiping out. Some kids, that's the only meals they get. And now I'm listening to some of these people on TV. We didn't know he's going to do this. He told you he was. I'm done, man, because I might roll some fucking words off my mouth y'all don't want to hear and it ain't right. Go ahead, man.
All right, thanks, Dave.
I saw Will's hand. I saw Will's hand.
Okay, go ahead, Will. He says no.
Hey, I was saying when Dave was talking about what he was talking about, I was saying 2525 Project 2025. He told you what he was going to do.
He's the president. That guy. That guy who drew that up. He's running the country.
You know what? 25 is another number like the 25th Amendment. That we need to enact that and then solve that problem. 25 for 25.
You watch this damn parade. You watch this damn parade Saturday. Shit.
But you know what gets me with him is the constant lying. Used to be a big deal to lie to the American people. He defaults to lying on the regular. Every time he speaks, it's a lie. I mean, he lied on the governor of California, said that he's responsible for a lot of deaths and potentially more deaths. Nobody's died.
Which is a damn lie. Not one death.
Not one death. He's responsible for deaths. He should be.
And by the way,
arrested
everybody on here worked a riot before, and it wasn't no fucking insurrection. That shit in California ain't nowhere near goddamn insurrection. Okay, using the fucking Marine Corps, sending 137 million to send them over there. Come on, man.
Capital is insurrection.
Yeah, January 6th was an insurrection. That was attempted coup.
That's right.
Fomented by him.
That's right.
And he didn't send anybody over there, no troops, because they were carrying his flag. So we'll go ahead and continue. You're up next.
Can we address what was written on the chat?
Oh, I didn't
Richard Bowden put, if you came here illegally, you get deported. It makes no difference if you own a business or not. If you came here illegally, you are a criminal. What part of being illegal do you not understand? Let me address that. Coming here undocumented is not a criminal offense. It is a civil offense.
Civil,
right?
exactly.
Getting a parking ticket is a civil offense. So if you get a parking ticket, you want to be taken down and handcuffed and taken away over a parking ticket? And you're going to treat people like animals just because of freaking paper? You have no idea what they go through to try to get legal status in this country. It is very hard. And people try to do it the right way, but they can't. That's ridiculous to say that they should be deported for a civil offense.
I'm with you, Cheech.
Where's
I'm
due
with you 100%.
process?
I'm with you 100%, Cheech. And right now I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Right now I feel your pain right now because it's civil. It's not criminal. So why we keep
Not a
labeling
crime.
them as criminals?
And by the way, Don, do they know? Do people on here know that we have undocumented people fighting for our military in this country right now? Do they know that? Oh yeah, I forgot. There was an Iraqi war veteran and an Afghani war veteran in Trump's first term. Came back to America fighting for this country instead of giving his real citizenship like Obama used to do. They fucking deported the guy, a sergeant.
To Mexico.
Yeah. You remember that.
Y'all heated. I'm sorry, Rich.
Well, it's okay.
I'll be jumping in with the comments though, but that's it. Go
All
ahead.
right. That sounds good. D's up next. Go ahead, D.
Wow. Let's go back to the video because we got a little bit far away. Yeah, that's what my comments were for. I agree a lot with what everybody's saying, but Rich said something. There's a cooperation with law enforcement officers. Those of us that have worked, we have a word for it. We call it a paper detail. When anything happens anywhere near your jurisdiction, my jurisdiction being the state of New York, we get a detail ready just in case, to show up immediately just in case. Sometimes it's within the hour that you can get at least the supervisor, who is at sometimes myself, to show up so we can figure out what we need and how we need to help. The sheriffs out there, the police chiefs, and the governors, they weren't asking for help. I want everybody to understand that. This person gets on and says that we needed them. We needed the military in there. Ain't nobody asked for help. There's a cooperation with how many law enforcement officers in California, in the LA area. I know they have the sheriffs, they have LAPD, they have CHIPS, they have so many other Beverly Hills, so many other police agencies that they can call on. They don't need the military, who quite frankly can't do anything. I'm going to save that. I'm going to table that because I want to say something and I want to be very clear. To watch the news, you would think LA is on fire. You would think they are burning down LA. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a mile of protest. I'll say it slowly, a mile of protest. And they are protesting the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency for bringing these people in, which they have the right to do. That's what they're protesting. I did 32 years at the New York State Police. I have never covered my face, nor my name tag, nor my nameplate. That's not what police do. So it begs it makes me think, why are you covering up your face? I get that what you're doing is unpopular. I've been doing unpopular stuff for 32 years. But yeah, Google me. You want to know where to find me? You can know where to find me today. There's no hiding when you are a law enforcement officer. So the only thing I can think of, you're hiding for a reason. And they're making this thing a lot bigger than it is because it allows people to do things that they're not supposed to be doing. We talked about it earlier. I don't want to go into that. Somebody else said something about an ICE agent arresting a woman and her baby was there.
I did.
I have the video. I'm not going to play it. Most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. It brought me to tears as a law enforcement officer. As many people as I've arrested for bad things, for unaliving people, When there are kids there, I handle that differently. I don't know where you guys were trained, not anybody here, but I'm talking about these ICE guys, where you were trained. There's a protocol when there are kids there. There is no reason for that behavior. It's showing me, we talked about a quota. Remember, we would never say quota in law enforcement. We used to say we write as many tickets as possible. We'll make as many arrests as possible. A quota, you look like you're trying to reach a quota because you're taking any and everybody. Here's an idea. Do me a favor. Go get the criminals. I'll support you in that. Go get the criminals. Moms and dads going to work, business owners. Those are not criminals. You guys said the law. I wrote it down. They're not criminals. A civil disagreement is not criminal. Doesn't rise to that level. And I would suggest, I know we got people in the comments. Read the law. There's some books out there. Or ask if you don't know. Ask, and we'll tell you to read because you sound crazy. Calling a civil, could you imagine? It's civil. It's not criminal. We got to be careful with that. Criminal things are handled differently.
So is the evidence.
Say again?
So is the evidence.
Evidence. The way you deal with it, how they're judged, the judges. You have different judges because they deal with things differently. I'll get in a preponderance of the evidence, something more likely to happen than didn't happen. I'm gonna have a law class. I'm not gonna do that. But it's not beyond a reasonable doubt like it is with criminals. It's ridiculous. So we have to be clear about what we're talking about. And what's scaring me is somebody's going to get hurt. And I fear our military guys. I know this is not going to be a popular trope, but I'm going to get done with this. I fear, because you understand, when you're in a far off distant land and you're doing your thing, that is different than working the streets of New York City. Come on, Dave. Hempstead, are you kidding me? That is different. You can, and I don't say it's better, worse, harder, softer. That's not my conversation to have. It's different. You're going to get yourself in some serious trouble by putting these poor military guys on these streets, especially when they come here. Unless you got 38,000 military guys, you're going to have a hard time in New York City. My jurisdiction goes into New York City. You're going to have a hard time. Trust me, especially when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I have a video of how they're training the military guys. And for somebody who is out there, you're going to get these guys hurt. Hey, Prez, if you're listening, you're going to get people hurt. They have no idea what they're doing. They're carrying these weapons against people that do this every day. You're going to get yourself hurt. You're going to have a problem. And you're going to have a problem because you're not following the law and the policies. That's all we ask. Follow the law and the policies. When we try to take shortcuts, you're going to get short and cut. And I'm done.
Thank you, D. Derek, you're up next. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's just so much attached to this. As far as the gentleman that talked about the illegals being criminals, when Trump initially said it, he said it plenty of times, we're going to go after the criminals. If you're here illegally, in his mind, he's the criminal, you're the criminal that he's speaking of. As far as this guy, whoever he is, saying that the illegals are the criminals, while we all know it's a civil matter, they're actually snatching people from the immigration office that are going through the legal process of being here.
Thank you.
They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do by the letter of the law, and they're being snatched out of the middle of their process. That's not criminal behavior. They're doing what they're supposed to do. As far as the military, in LA, you have the regular police that were there already, and you needed no more than that. But Trump calls in 2,000 National Guard troops. Then he calls in 700 Marines. Then he calls in another 2,000 National Guard troops. So it's 4,700 between the National Guard troops and the Marines, and you'll have the ICE officers there as well. Now, you have a bunch of frustrated people, and because of all of this backup now, you have some of the cops doing stupid things. I don't know if you saw, one of the cops took aim at an Australian journalist while she was in the middle of talking on the microphone. She was actually doing a news brief, and he took aim at her with his gun with the rubber bullet, and you can see him aiming straight at her, lined her up, and shot her. He shot her. And when you have guys out there with their faces covered, they can get away with things like this. They're hiding because they remain anonymous from any form of retribution, legal or illegal. That's why they're hiding their faces. And Tom Holman said, he said, you know, cops, they're getting recognized and their families are getting threatened. That's part of being police. That's part of being police. If you treat people the right way, you don't have to worry about things like that. You don't have to worry about things like that. But another thing that's really interesting is how some of these deportations are occurring. So the people, mostly Asians, have gotten deported to countries they've never been to countries that they have no history of personally. You've had Asians getting deported to Panama, Costa Rica, South Sudan. Why the hell would you send Asians to South Sudan? They don't speak the language. They've never been there. They have no history of family there. And it's just, it's a way for them to try to intimidate everyone, to let them know we're basically going to shit on you any way we can. It doesn't matter if it's right. We're going to shit on you any way we can. We're going to make anyone we try to get out of this country as uncomfortable as possible for as long as possible. And hopefully that'll scare some of the people off that are here that they feel shouldn't be. And they're snatching people from kids' graduations. I mean, there have been kids left behind because their parents were either taken or had to flee, and the kids were left at the graduations by themselves. This country is going to hell in a handbasket. And it's all because of Trump. It's all because of him. And listen, if anything would have happened to him, then we have J.D. Vance to jump in his place. And J.D. Vance is backed by Peter Thiel, who's one of the authors of all of this stuff. So I don't see it getting any better anytime soon, but something has to happen. Something has to happen. I mean, that's all I have. Oh, and one other thing. The right-wing media is a propaganda machine. And one of the things I happened to catch was when a young lady got killed on the jet ski. She got killed by a jet ski. She was a first-class private or something like that in the Army, young lady, Hispanic lady. She gets killed by, I think, two guys on a jet ski. And they take off. They end up getting caught. Supposedly, these two guys are Venezuelan immigrants. So they're talking about how these two immigrants murdered this girl with the jet ski, and she was so great, she was going to end up being a general. She's a Hispanic female. She wasn't going to be a fucking general because anything regarding what they consider DEI is a no-go. So we know you're not going to take a Hispanic girl and eventually promote her to general because you're firing generals that are minorities, right? That's one. Two is when you're in the service, there's a track where you enter and you can get promoted in a specific track, if I'm correct. So if you're an ROTC college graduate, you go in as a second lieutenant and you're on one track. If you go in as an enlistee out of high school, you're on another track. You couldn't even become on a track to get to general. So they're full of garbage, and they know a lot of people don't know this, so they just spout lies and they spout it over the news. It's frustrating, it's stupid, and it's like our news system, the right-wing news system, is working against the truth, period. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, Derek. JT, you're next.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I got nothing good to say about Trump. Most of us made arrests with felonies, maybe 5, 6. Some of them motherfuckers probably still in jail. So I have nothing good to say about him. But this whole process of where they are doing things is totally incorrect. I mean, and one question I got, because I don't know, because I don't really follow all this shit. Did anybody get killed yet in LA from this?
No.
Nobody got killed. Maybe
No
a
death.
burnt cars or some shit. No.
Nothing burned down. No.
It's
No,
a mile, one mile.
No structures.
No looting.
It's peaceful. So why the fuck did Donald Trump think we needed the military and the Marines? Come on. He didn't send that much fucking help to Afghanistan. And Biden came in and stopped a 24-year war. Who fuck and fight for 24 fucking years? You don't know what you want in the first 5? What the fuck you fight for another 19? Most of us probably didn't know that. But that fight was going on for 24 fucking years in Afghanistan. Then they wanted to blame the people who got killed on Biden. It's a fucking war. You try to sneak out of jail, you get shot. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. But one thing I do have to say, and this is to Cheech. Cheech, I've known you for a long time. I respect you just as much as anybody else. I'm going to say something, I'm going to ask you something, and I hope it don't hit your heart. But if it do, I apologize now. Have you yourself and your family ever been subject to any of this deportation bullshit ID?
Yes, 100. And when I was a kid in Hempstead, when ICE was around, we got stopped all the time and asked for papers. As a little kid, I remember that how important it was to carry your quote unquote green card around. When I grew up, I thought that meant having an American Express. I had no idea what a green card was, but that's how you showed what your legal status was. But we got harassed all the time. When we saw a black van with tinted windows, or white vans with tinted windows, which is what they drove back then, you know, we got scared because we knew we were going to get tossed. Tossed, for those that don't know, means get thrown on the wall and searched and, you know, ID'd and treated like a criminal until they're verified. And there are U.S. citizens getting caught up now in all this mess because they take you in and ask questions later. You don't have your ID with you.
Okay.
So, question.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, JT. My question is, what if you are a U.S. citizen and you don't have a green card? How do you prove it? Because U.S. citizens don't walk around with their birth certificate or a passport. How do you prove it?
Exactly.
Good question, Derek. Good
if
question, man.
If you have no ID on you, they're going to take you in until they verify it.
Which
You will
is
be treated like a
ridiculous.
criminal.
Which is ridiculous.
And that's already happened. And you've seen a couple of people that got held for hours, some for days, until they let you go.
I'm going to say this.
Proven innocent.
Yeah, I have to say this real quick, Rich. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go right ahead, Greg.
Man, any person of color that agree with this mess is full of mess. And I don't feel nice in saying what I had to say.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Noop. Thank you. I say it. They kiss my ass.
I hear you, Dave.
If they finish kissing his ass, mine's wide open.
All right. We're an ass-free society here. AC.
Don't take that the wrong way. I ain't never been to jail.
All right.
Now it's my turn.
Keep the soap in your pocket. Hey, go ahead, AC.
Geez, after all this stuff, I agree. I have a question. Really, what is ICE doing? Since we as a country deporting non-Americans, what are they doing for non-Hispanic people who are here illegally?
Well, that's just it. You don't see them going into Chinatown. You don't see them going into Little Italy. And they're coming over also. Everybody knows that they come through the Mexican border or the Canadian border. but they're not going after them. They're only targeting Latinos.
Yep.
They're not targeting students.
Hey, JT, I can answer that question for you. Why don't they go ask Trump with his first wife coming here illegally through the Canadian border, and his wife now with his bullshit visa who got no business here?
Or his grandfather who didn't have a legal right to be here. Anyway.
And her parents, her dad was a criminal. Melania's father was a fucking criminal, and they gave him U.S. citizenship right away.
Mm-hmm.
Guess it's a family thing.
And secondly, in reference to New York, I know New York law better than any other state. The CPL, that's not for police. That's for all arrests, isn't it? So if you're a government agent, ICE, don't you still have to follow CPL?
Yep. Yep.
The CPL is criminal procedure law.
Criminal procedure law.
So, I'm sorry. And I'm sure there's a similar doctrine in each state of how to make arrests, what's needed to make an arrest. And from what I'm seeing, these ICE agents aren't utilizing those laws. Now, I do know that if you're a border patrol or something like that, and you're within so many miles from the border, you're allowed to do things that's not necessarily in the CPL. Like a border patrol near Canada can search people without without reasonable cause or what police need, but they're going to places that aren't near borders and just seizing people.
Yes,
that's illegal to be. If anything,
it's very illegal.
If anything, they should be reporting themselves.
The AC, this is all done in an emergency status where they feel like they can abuse people's rights and be as heavy-handed as they want to be under this particular president who is okay with breaking laws. He told the people at the officials that worked at the border right here in San Diego, go ahead and break and abuse people, abuse their rights. I'll pardon you later. That's his mentality. Unfortunately, this is where we're at.
The same thing as Suffolk County Police, basically. Be as rough as you want, don't be kind to them.
And that's why these guys are all masked up and you can't see who they are, because they're abusing people. They're not following protocol and they don't want to be seen. That's the real reason that they're all masked up and you can't tell who they are, because they're abusing people's rights.
But are they going to Beverly Hills taking all the people who work in their houses?
No, of course not.
Because if you want to find people illegal, go there. There's plenty of illegal people there.
Right now, there's strawberries rotting on the vine because they don't have the people there to pick the strawberries.
I don't think that's right to go there either. I'm just saying you're being very selective of your enforcement.
Exactly. And when it starts affecting the farmers, Trump gets all assed up about the farmers. Wait a second, I think he put out something today saying he's going to start changing up the what they're deciding to do and who they're doing it to. So it's always racial, though. It is. It's always racial. But go ahead, Will.
Told us that the first time, Rick.
Rev, where you got your finger up? Go ahead, Rev.
Yes. I just wanted to say, Richard Bowden says, newsflash, I guess it's referring to what you said, Derek, says there are many people who enlisted and retired as flag officer. A flag officer is a general or admiral. By the way, generals are being relieved on a regular basis, and most are white. Now that's I don't listen. I can care less because most generals are white. That's why you look like most of them are being relieved. So
right.
I don't want to hear that garbage at all. I mean, I'm serious. Listen, if anyone wants to put blinders on, put them on. But just tell me you put them on and stop trying to make me look like a fool. Whites and blacks are treated differently. Hispanics are treated differently. Right now, Hispanics are being targeted to get kicked out of here through immigration. It's an absolute target, and you can come up with any excuse you want to come up with. It won't work with me. I don't even hear that stuff. It's a shame that we even discussing this, and it's right in our face what's happening right now. It's right in our face. And for Black Americans, It's been for over 400, 500. It's been for years. This stuff didn't just start. You're going to try to defend that and look like me? Man, listen.
Right.
I know what side of the fence you are. Listen, this is how I look at it. All, what they say, all kinfolk, all skin folk.
All skin folk. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true.
And they say slavery. They say slavery's gone. It ain't gone. They just made it better. So
it's
you can
disguised.
get paid now. You get
it's
driven
disguised
to the job.
Ridiculous.
Dave's got his finger up. If you're done, Rev, go ahead, Dave.
See, Don, thank you, Noop, because obviously he wasn't listening during Trump's first term when he said Nigerians need to take their asses back to their huts in Africa. We should have people from Norway coming here. What does that mean?
Right.
You want white country.
Right.
We've been woke. By the way, this woke shit they keep mentioning, we've been woke. Is that the case? We've been woke since 1619. We hit these goddamn shores. Shit.
All the black and brown countries.
They're going to go right to his house and knock on his fucking door.
Shithole countries.
That's right. Say it again, Derek. Say it again. Please say it again.
Because in Trump's eyes, all the black and brown countries are shithole countries.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, we've heard this stuff, and we're going to defend it? Get out of here.
Oh, we're not defending it.
Come on, man.
No.
Misguided individuals are defending it. People that vote against their own interests are defending it, which is ridiculous. So who's next here? Will, unless you got something, D, you have your finger up?
You got Will, Mark, and D.
Yeah, I got one more. Yeah, one more thing.
Okay, go ahead, D. Oh, you want to wait in line? Or you?
Oh, no. I just wanted, just for everybody watching real quick, mine's going to go quick. Somebody just sent me, there's going to be ICE protests on Long Island. So those of you that are watching and are on Long Island, it's coming to a town near you. If you want, get in touch with us. I'll tell you where they are. But these protests are starting to happen all over. And I want to say one thing. Take a picture of the protest. Back up a few feet and take a picture of the protest. Don't just take a picture of the 5 people in front of you, because it can be photoshopped to look like it's 100,000 people fighting. Go back a couple of 100 feet and take a picture, and we can see the 700 cops and the 3 people protesting. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thanks, D. Will, you're next in the queue.
I'm going to start with a simple word. Constitution. Now, we have a system of government where laws are made, where laws are enforced in the executive, and where laws are interpreted in the Supreme Court. If you have bothered, the Constitution is an extremely long document, but to my understanding of what I've read and what I've researched, it refers to the people. The people that wrote the Constitution are immigrants themselves. So they came from an environment where they were oppressed, where they were dehumanized, where they were minimized, whatever you want to call it. So they wrote the Constitution in an effort to ensure that it was going to be better here than it was where they came from. Granted, the only people that they factored in at that time was people that looked like them. I get it. That's all they really had exposure to. So they sunk into a biased mentality the minute that they saw natives here, and they sunk deeper when they decided that they wanted to enslave people to do the work that they were too lazy to do. Now, as far as the Constitution goes, there are things that it guarantees the people that are on the soil in this country, and that's called due process. Now, I've seen folks make a lot of comments about these liberals and leftists didn't have an issue when there were deportations during Obama's administration, during Biden's administration, or any other administration. And of course, the check right there is, oh, so you're admitting that those administrations did conduct deportations. So what's the difference? They conducted deportations through the process and rule of law using the appropriate due process. That is what is missing, ladies and gentlemen, that are watching us today, that may watch us on tape delay or whatever you want to call it. That is what's missing. The process matters. The why matters. And it's no coincidence that these raids are taking place in predominantly blue states, blue being a liberal, democratic, whatever you want to call it. But when you think about the overwhelming presence of migrants, particularly Hispanics in this country, the function that they truly occupy in outside of construction is what? Farming. And farming overwhelmingly takes place where? In our red states.
Yep.
We're not hearing about any of this going down over there, but those folks are scared because of what they see elsewhere. But I think it was Dave that was saying, where are they targeting next? Philly, Chicago, Seattle. All of those are overwhelmingly blue states. This is what you would call systemic and intentional bias. And for what's going on out there in California, folks, from a law enforcement standpoint, you have different levels, local, state, and federal. All of us are state officers. I think, D, you've been on a federal task force. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Anyone else been on the federal task force? We know that the only way you get to charge someone with a federal crime is either you're a federal officer or you're a local officer or municipal officer or state officer, but on a federal task force. Otherwise, at the state level, we cannot enforce federal laws. Hence why when arrests are made and a judge determines that a person should be released based upon lack of evidence or other pretrial release conditions, that person isn't supposed to be continued to be held in a state or local facility because there's no legal justification for doing it, because we cannot enforce federal law. To hold someone beyond a judge's order on the basis of an administrative federal warrant for a civil violation such as immigration status, that goes against individual constitution for each state. And that is why the disconnect between the current administration and states that want to uphold the Constitution as it's meant and keep their powers within their span of authority versus these states that will say, okay, well, you're the president, you're telling us we can do it, so we're going to do it. The man is usurping the Constitution. He is ignoring interpretation by the Supreme Court. And there are multiple tens of millions of people that are cheering him along the way.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay, look, we're going to take these next two comments from Mark and Ty, and then we'll try to get to the next video because we've been on this for about an hour. So go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. So for clarification, federal officers do not follow the CPL. They have their own federal rules of criminal procedure. So it's going to be a little bit differently. That's why officers who are in federal task force actually may have more powers than the regular police officers, because they're allowed to, as Will said, that they're allowed to make arrests that the normal municipal police officers can't. The other thing I wanted to talk about was what Will talked about. What Cheech talked about. You know, it's not new that they're doing that, and people have to carry their immigration papers, or it's, you know, back in the days with slavery, free slaves were caught and they had to prove they were free and taken. And some of them, even though they were free, you rip up that paper, they have no proof anymore. And that was done. So, you know, this is unfortunately history repeating itself.
He's done, Rich.
Okay. All right. Well, Ty, you next.
So, greetings, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. So the fortunate that all these phenomenal points that are being made, not only on this panel, but being made in general across the country, are falling on deaf ears, because the ears that are listening are not thinking in the realm of responsibility, law, and the Constitution. And I feel bad for this country because he warned us in 2012. He warned us all those years. He warned us. He tried this stuff initially, but did not know how to do it. And now that he's back in office, with renewed ability to figure out how to circumvent the laws, he's putting an application what he tried to do years ago. And I'm not surprised by any of this, unfortunately. I was the one chief who talked about martial law initially about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I mentioned it because this is what his purpose was, to get everybody in uproar. He wants the first cop to get killed by a protester. He wants the first scenario where a person of either ICE or one of those guys get injured or hurt. He said, you know what, this is good, this is out of hand, we must get control of it. And he's gonna put a stamp on the martial law. And once he gets martial law in place, he cannot be removed from presidency. It's an act of war against our own country. When a president cannot be removed during the time of war. Am I correct, Rich?
You're correct, totally correct.
And that's exactly what he said. He told us, if you make me president again, I will never have been made president ever again.
It's not
That's
never have to vote
what
again. He can change.
never have to vote again. That's what he said verbatim, because he knows that once he has the ability to, so we must be diligent in our process, but we have to eat a whole lot of crow for the next 2.5 years, because the minute there's an uprising, as we're all talking about, need to be done, is exactly what he wants. He's probably upset it hasn't happened by now, which is why he keeps snowballing the effect of what's going on. He makes it worse every week. Every time he's in front of a mic, he says incendiary things on purpose. And I don't know why anybody's surprised, man. I mean, I feel bad for people like us who are talking so logically to an illogical situation that will never be logical until these people are removed. There's no other way of doing it. No, he will sign an executive order in 10 minutes if he has to. It will get him one step closer to what he's trying to accomplish. So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I'm not that smart. But I know that the worst thing you can do is give him what he wants. But what do? You're between a rock and a hard place. I mean, he's not following any protocols within the civil rights of law, which is what this is all about. And it just kills me when a person who voted for this gentleman, and I say that because I'm a nice guy. Not a nice guy, I'm a kind guy. That they don't understand the difference. They don't. I know police officers that voted that way have the unmitigated gall to say to me, a retired cop, these guys are breaking the law. I said, no, they're not, man. They're breaking the civil law. They're not criminal. It's not criminal law. I mean, you learn that, and I don't want to get upset because it's not worth it to me when it's falling on deaf ears. And I don't know what's going to happen in this country. I know we got 2.5 years left. You got about a year and change to the midterms. Hopefully that can. I've seen enough uproar in the far right to think that it's going to be a change at the midterms. Because too many people that voted for him and voted for this way of life are getting affected like everybody else. They're starting to feel what it feels like to be a minority, Donald. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These people that voted for him, these white farmers and white people in rural America, like we said a minute ago, the red states are the ones that are most affected because they have the most populated area of workers that are Hispanic. And they're the ones that are being affected the most. People are losing their farm. People are losing farms in North Carolina they've had for 30 years, 3 generations. They're losing their business now, plus they can't farm the crops. I mean, and it's a fact, John.
Well, you know, Ty, the Republicans have ceded their power.
Yes.
And so we don't have a proper check and balance, so we feel hopeless because we have no power. The Republicans should be taking this guy out, but they're not.
Oh my God.
They're co-signing everything he does. The illegal stuff they co-sign. They make an excuse for it. So we're powerless at this point until the midterms come and we get rid of these Republicans. But I guarantee you, if Democrats take over the House, he will be impeached for a 3rd time. There's enough evidence.
How can he not be impeached, Richard? He would have to be impeached. I mean, the things he says on public forums are incriminating evidence to crimes. I mean, is it me, D School? Or am I crazy? Am I hearing? I can speak English. Am I right? I mean, the things he's saying publicly
Yeah.
that's being recorded and broadcast all over the damn country is grounds for, listen, I got to talk to you, son. Because you can't say that. It's against the law. But
But he's breaking the law. He's lawless. He's a lawless president.
Oh God, yes.
The Republicans put it at the top of the ticket. They're responsible, and they're going to pay.
And
So let's get off this
upset.
thing. Mhm.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, let's go to the next video.
Go right ahead. I just want to put that out there.
Okay, our next video. Let's switch gears a little bit. Our next video is going to take us to West Palm Beach, Florida. I mean, last week we had not a pursuit, but a guy was followed and ended up losing his life, and we asked a few questions. We have another case here, similar. I think a young lady and her daughter lost their life. Let's take a look.
Starts with breaking news.
Breaking news here at noon, 7 West Palm Beach police officers surrendering in connection to a deadly crash that killed a mother and her pregnant daughter. It happened last summer, and it follows a months-long investigation into whether these officers violated pursuit policy. Thanks for joining us for WPBF 25 News at noon. I'm Stephen Graves.
And I'm Tiffany Kenny. We have team coverage for you this afternoon. Reporters Nikita Ramos and Terry Parker are live outside the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office with what we're learning about the case. We begin with Terry with new details about the crash. Terry?
We have just also received the arrest report for these 7 officers, and it backs up my original reporting that these officers allegedly were not only involved in an improper high-speed chase at speeds up to 100 miles an hour, resulting in a double fatal crash, but that they left the scene, did not render aid, and did not report the crash. 3 of the officers appeared in bond court this morning. Etienne Pierre was one of the drivers in the chase. Austin Danielovich also charged with leaving the scene of a deadly crash and obstruction of justice, as was Christopher Reckdahl. The courtroom was packed with their family members, as well as the families of the 2 victims, Marcia Porchette and her pregnant daughter, Janelle Woods. According to the probable cause affidavit, 3 West Palm Beach vehicles, including a marked car, began a pursuit of a Kia Stinger with possibly illegally tinted windows in West Palm Beach late last July. The 3 cars carrying 7 officers pursued the suspect in this improper chase all the way to Boynton Beach, sometimes at speeds approaching or over 100 miles an hour. One vehicle at one point driving the wrong way in the wrong lane. This was a police car. Neone Copeland slammed into Woods and Porchette's car at over 80 miles per hour. The PC says then cell phone GPS records and vehicle trackers showed all 3 of the cars approached the scene and either did a U-turn or drove past it, right where Porchette and Woods were lying there suffering fatal injuries. The report says the officers then turned around, failed to render aid, failed to notify the supervisor, and did not reveal their role in this chase and crash. And as I reported previously, one source close to the investigation tells me that the officers fled the scene, one of them at least, at 100 miles per hour. It was only when Boynton Beach police then went back and looked at the videos around the crash and said, hey, what was West Palm Beach officers doing here? They contact West Palm Beach supervisors, and that's when their involvement in this fatal crash came to light. We're going to have much more on what happened in court today and where the other officers are and all of the details. But for now, we're going to find out exactly what those charges are. I go to my colleague, Nikita Ramos. Nikita, what happened?
Yeah, and Terry, it was tense inside of that courtroom today as bond is now set for 3 of the 7 West Palm Beach police officers right here today at the Palm Beach County Courthouse. Now, inside of court, we saw for the first time officers Christopher Reckdahl, Austin Danielovich, and Pierre Etienne are all now being held on $125,000 bond each. They're each facing 2 felony counts of leaving the scene of a crash involving death and a felony count of official misconduct. Now, 4 other officers, Michael Borgen, William Loaiza, Brendan Stedfelt, and Darian Thomas, have been arrested on 1 felony count of official misconduct. In a statement, State Attorney Alexia Cox says that the police officers' actions are a disturbing betrayal of public trust and that the office will pursue justice wherever the facts and the law lead. So this day marks this appearance of these officers mark a very long process ahead that we, of course, will continue to follow.
Okay, let's see. We have 3 hands here. I'm
Dave was up first.
Yeah, Dave, Cheech, and Derek. Go ahead.
for fucking tinted windows? Really? How many of us rode by cars on duty with tinted windows? We said, like, go ahead. Come on, man. Come on. They ain't saying no other crime. Tinted windows. And then you leave the scene. And you in somebody else's jurisdiction. Come on, man. You can't make this shit up. Okay, put them in a state prison down there. Okay, let them bend over. Fuck it. Go ahead. I'm done.
All right, Dave. Who's next? Is it Derek?
He took my thunder. Same thing. Tinted windows.
Okay.
Not a kidnapping in progress. Not a homicide. Not a violent robbery. Tinted windows. That's all I had to say.
Right. And I was going to say the same thing. Possibly illegally tinted windows. They didn't even get to measure the windows. Possibly illegal. They may not have even been illegal. But it's one of the things that people now have to become accustomed to, because policing has become such such a funding operation for the municipalities in which the people work. The more they want money, or the more they want tickets, the more officers are going to have to try to find things to bother people for. And this is one of the things. And there's another video that we're not going to get to today. The officer that got killed in Chicago by a partner, they were chasing the guy because of possibly illegally tinted windows as well. So, it's just one of those things where as long as policing becomes a primary revenue stream for the municipality in which the police work, we're going to have these types of things happen.
Okay. D, you're next.
Let me help you out. With the video, I usually put a hashtag cops and police. So I'm going to assume every once in a while another cop or police officer or law enforcement officer at large watches this video. Let me make it clear. You cannot. I'm going to make it very easy for you. I don't know what to do. You cannot leave people injured on the battlefield. You can't do that. If you hear somebody screaming on the other side of a door, there's a word, exigent circumstances. You kick that door in, you break that door down, you do what you have to do to save that person. You cannot cause an accident and then turn around and leave.
Yeah.
Or call you. You can't do it. I don't. Anybody here help me? Is that anything that would have even crept into your mind? If I see an accident, I gotta go over the median. I gotta back down the street. I gotta get there to stop off traffic. I gotta put my life in the line and hang off the side of the bridge. You gotta do whatever you gotta do to make sure nobody gets hurt once you know about it. That's how you got to do this job. I hear, Derek, you talked about this municipality, but man, find something else to do. Make videos. You can sit in your basement and make videos and you don't have to worry about loss of life. But these things that we're seeing, especially something like this, you cannot. Let me just speak to pursuits. We are the only profession that take a 7% or so completion rate, or a rate where it's going to come out with a good turnout. And that's something we do. Pursuits are always bad. Anybody in here that has been in pursuits, I've been in hundreds of them. There's parameters that they put into your brain. There's levels and things you can do. It never fits anywhere. Each pursuit is different. It doesn't fit in any book. You got to be smart enough to know, I got to back off this thing.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Tinted windows. You fail to signal. Come on, man. 100 miles an hour for tinted windows. Here's an idea. At some point, you might have saw that plate. There were 4 of you in there. Each person could have got two numbers and 2 letters. We could have figured out what the plate is. Follow the speed limit and go to their house. Wait for them to come home. I see you in the car. I see who's in the car. All I gotta do is go. I did that all the time. I sit in front of your house in your driveway. You got to come home sooner or later. For 2 weeks, I'm gonna take my lunch in your driveway. You got to come home. It's not necessary. It's so not necessary. And now we have a loss of, I know I said 2 lives, 3 lives.
Three.
Because the young lady was, come on, for tinted windows. I understand where this police thing is going to. We got to roll it back, guys. We got to roll it way back to where we're putting people in uniform that know the difference between right and wrong. That's what the problem is. We getting caught up in the weeds, right? There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we just ain't never going to get there. We caught up in the weeds in the trip. There ain't nothing right about that. There's no way you can go home to your church, to your pastor, to your mama, and you turn around in that accident and you're going to be okay with yourself. I know we're getting those kind of people on the job. They don't, as far as I'm concerned, they don't belong on the job. And that's what we're starting to see. It's going to be a time where police, I guess, shouldn't be police. And that's where we're headed. And I'm done.
Well, D, you know what? We have to be smarter. Just because somebody runs, we don't have to chase. And I think the mentality before, if somebody runs, we got to go chase them. Use your head. Chase the chase that's worth it. So
what am I chasing them for?
Exactly. Tinted windows, we're going to drive 100 miles an hour? I don't think so. Not anybody would need sense. But we got 2 more comments. I guess we can shut this down shortly. So JT and AC, go ahead.
Yeah, mine's going to be pretty short. It was 7 cops. I can see, and this is a very minimum I can see. 1 cop chasing 1 vehicle that crashed. He out of jurisdiction. He shouldn't be there in the first place. Maybe he make a U-turn and get the fuck out of there. But that's not probably going to happen. But you got 7 PACs, punk-ass cops, chasing a car with tinted windows, and none of them turn around to see who that motherfucker was that got killed. None of them. 7 people, and they cops, and they chase somebody, and they know it's an accident, maybe fatal, and none of them turn around. I can't believe that.
Okay, I see.
A rookie would have turned around.
Yeah. No, I agree, JT. I see Dave's finger here, and then we're going to go to Rev with comments from our viewers.
Yeah. I just want to say that Derek Donald, whoever ran track in here, I only ran a 4.75 in college at my fastest at fullback. If I'm in South Jamaica, Queens, and a perpetrator is running, even on foot, at 4.4, I'm going to see his ass at his house because I know I ain't catching him. You know what I mean? Shit. I ain't stupid. I'm going to save my energy. Shit. I was running for 40 yards, down 100. Shit. You know what I mean? Come on.
I'll be there, but I'll be tired.
Okay, before we go to the Rev, AC, go ahead.
Yeah, AC. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you know, the tinted windows, that's not why you stopped them or why you wanted to stop them. There's an excuse to stop them. Yeah. And everyone's talking about, you know, the horrors and the loss of life, the families that have affected, even the family of the cops. But one of the most egregious things, I know I mentioned, the cops that had to write their report, pull up on that, and then find out it was other cops that did it.
Oh,
I would have, a cop from a different department gonna come and lead us here.
Yes, sir.
Right. On-duty cop is going to come to your territory, commit a crime, and leave.
Yes.
Oh man, he might not made it to jail.
Yeah. I'm with you, AC. Rich, is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me just get to this real quick. Wait a minute, where was it? Where was I? Was it? Oh, Brian Camp. Brian Camp says I will pull over for black limo tinted windows for my front seat while leaving my bus depot when I worked for New York City Transit while in uniform. That's when I was informed it was illegal. I was giving a warning and had to change it. It's normally what happens. Tinted windows is not major, but it is a cause for a stop. Exactly, David. Marcus Diggs says 21-year-old recruits who know the difference between right and wrong, fat chance. No, it isn't a fat chance. Derek was 20 years old when they handed him a gun. I was 23 years old when they handed me my gun, so it's not a fat chance.
21.
I was a little surprised that at 23 years old they're giving me a gun and all this authority too, but they also trained me. I also learned a lot while I was in the academy of things I had no clue of prior to the academy. So I think training is really, really a responsible way of getting police officers out to the street. And our training wasn't 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Our training was, I believe, 6 months in the academy, and then another year. another 4 weeks. No, another 4 weeks in the Transit Police Academy. And then when you came to the job, even though you may have been, you had a field training officer that rode with you for a certain amount of time until they felt that you were able to go out there by yourself. So there is a whole lot to becoming a police officer and then being out on the street by yourself. Whole lot goes in between that time. Also, Richard Bowden says, a pursuit over tinted windows, he couldn't outrun the radio. That's true too. Richard Bowden, those cops have no conscience. People with no conscience sleep well at night. David Van Cleef says, are illegal tinted windows justification for a search of that vehicle?
No.
It's justification for a stop.
Right. And in some states, that can't be the reason for a stop anymore.
Exactly.
So, exactly. So in these states where these things are occurring, we don't even know if it's legit for them to chase a person. And for most of us that have experience in policing, and I'm assuming this to Mr. Bowden, if someone radios to me, there's a car coming your way that may have illegally tinted windows, I'm not bothering that car. I'm not stopping someone because their windows may be illegally tinted.
That's a low price.
Shit that you just don't worry about. You have enough work to do as a police officer that some things you don't have to worry about. If you stop someone for a legit reason and their windows are tinted dark and they have a big mouth, that's another ticket. That's another ticket. But I'm not putting my car in drive, jumping out to follow someone because their windows may be illegally tinted. Cops have better things to do than that. And when the ones that do it, it's a fishing expedition. They're looking for something else.
And the bottom line is, you're also not going to call dispatch and say there's a guy with tinted windows heading southbound on whatever
at 100 miles an hour.
That's low pride. That's low priority.
Well, Rich, if you do that, you are a nutcase.
And you're going to catch hell.
You are a nutcase.
A lot of people don't know that when cops do dumb shit like this, they catch hell in the locker room. You know, they have to deal with other cops that know this isn't what you're supposed to do, and they hear about it. Some of them don't care, but they hear about it.
You get your coattail pulled, no doubt about it.
Well, listen, thank you guys so much. Will, I see you made a comment. I don't know if you want to make it publicly on your last statement. I just saw it in the chat, and I just want to know if you want to do it or not. And then we can move forward.
Mr. Bowden made a comment in reference to the writers of the Constitution being U.S. citizens. And in my response, I put the last sentence that it was a clever point that was a cute deflection. And I sent my apologies to him because I misinterpreted his comment in terms of it wasn't a deflection, and I responded incorrectly. So I've always been told that you praise in private and you own up to your things in public. So that's what I'm doing. Mr. Bowden, you have my apologies, and I hope you'll accept.
Well, let me tell you, that's a big move. I appreciate that. That's why I said to give an opportunity, because we don't want to ever look like us against them. But some comments are just contrary to what we believe and how we think. But that's not just with those who are on Facebook Live. That's within ourselves. So I just want you guys on Facebook Live to know that you have no idea how we go at it with each other. You have no idea. So I don't want you to think that we're coming over here and we sit up and say, okay, whatever they say, we're going after them, and we're going to be on the same team regard. No, there are times where I know Mark will get on my case, and I get on his, and we go back and forth. And it happens. And Cheech, we'll get on the other side of the fence. And Dave, y'all already know where Dave gonna be. Dave is gonna be out there by himself. Well, I can't say by himself. Dave and JT gonna be out there by themselves. Those are two that they don't care who it is. I've got cursed out by daggone JT by him saying Rev and cursed me out.
I cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah, and we also have to look at the fact that the people on here, we're speaking from our personal experiences as police officers, and some of us worked in different eras. And policing was different. It was done differently in different eras as well. So JT being the elder statesman on this feed, he policed a little bit differently than most of us did. And that's just the way it was done then. The way it was done then can't necessarily be done that way now. So
absolutely right. Let me say this again. Richard Bowden says, apology accepted. Keep up the good work. Thanks for keeping our streets safe. So I'm glad that everyone's walking away here understanding that none of this is personal. None of this. Because Will and Richard don't know each other at all. This is not and this is not personal. We just said we have to say, and Cheech says it up front. Cheech lets you know up front in our disclaimer that this is not personal. It's not. So thank you for both Will and Rich for understanding, and even Marcus, because Marcus and I we went at it a couple times too. But if you notice, Marcus, I don't say too much anymore because I was out of line, and I'm not gonna be out of line anymore like that. So the boys got on me. Let me tell you right now, the crew got on me. All right, again. Thank you so much. I don't know, Dee, do you have a last video?
I always do, but we're running along.
Let's go, and then we're going home.
Gotcha.
Command decision.
It's the tense moment a deputy sheriff stops a black man out for a jog.
You're not in any trouble or anything? There is a burglary that happened. You kind of fit the description. Let me just make sure that you're not him, okay?
But the jogger, Joseph Griffin, is the wrong man, as will soon become obvious.
I'm a vet. I have my ID. Okay, can I see your ID? Yeah. You literally, they said white tank top, black shorts. And they said that you had a beard, all right? So I'm not saying it's you, but it was a black male. Again, not saying it's you, buddy.
Griffin, a former Army staff sergeant, streams the encounter on Facebook Live.
If something happens to me, y'all better raise hell.
15 minutes later, he is released.
We just got the picture finally from the witness, and I get why they went out with you for sure. Clearly not you, but the clothing description and everything match.
The encounter is now going viral and being hailed as a good example of how both cops and suspects should act in these situations that sometimes turn deadly.
And thank you for Officer Estrada here, who told me from the get-go, hey, I'm not gonna let anything happen to you. So definitely appreciate that. Wrong place, wrong time.
Here's the real suspect, side by side with Griffin. I spoke with Griffin today.
It's definitely a frustrating situation. Nobody wants to go for a jog and end up in handcuffs. But I do understand that officers have to do their job. Just certain ways we can go about it.
The Volusia County Sheriff in Florida was so impressed with how Griffin handled himself, he actually tried to hire the registered nurse.
Did you offer him a job?
I did. I have 40 openings. And in today's climate,
between COVID-19 and what's going on with law enforcement and the minority community, I can't fill them.
So he'd be a great addition to the force.
I don't think I could pay him enough, though.
Do you see this as a teachable moment for police, for America?
I see this as definitely a teaching moment for America.
Thank you so much. That was a good video. Good video. I'm glad it turned out that way, even though the shorts were different. But I'm glad it turned out that way, and everyone gets to go home. Thank you to everyone on Facebook Live, those on Zoom. Thank you so much for joining with us and being patient with us. As you can tell, some of us get a little excited when we start talking. That's just the way we are. And you can also tell that I'm trying to share some of this wealth. You have new people doing things. We want to thank Rich for doing an awesome job today, and leading us and keeping us going. I think he thought it was easier than what it was. But when you have a panel this big and everyone has a point and they want to make their point, we try not to cut them off. We try to make sure everyone gets their points in there. So sometimes we may only get to 2 videos. We one of these days y'all count for us and see if we ever get to 5 videos. See if AC did. I think AC did 5. Wow. Yeah, I think AC did 5. Who's next? Will, you next?
There you go.
Look, he says, hey, if I get Will said if I can get connected, I'm next.
I gotta hit the switch.
Listen, guys, thank you so much. Dave, Mark, JT, Derek, Cheech, Rich, Will, AC, and D, and Tyrone Melba was with us. Thank you so much. Let us pray. God our Father, we thank you again for allowing us to be on this live for 5 years. I thank you for every person that has joined us, those who started with us but didn't finish with us, those who came on board and with us even on today. We want to say thank you, but we say thank you most of all for those who are on Facebook Live and those who are on YouTube. Thank you for listening to us and giving us an audience to even speak to and to talk to. We pray to God it's not just an audience, but it's something that you will learn and know how to deal with in your lives, and pray that something we have said has protected you and kept you from any hurt, harm, and danger. We thank you now. We're praying for everybody on the sound of my voice. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.